Do you ever freeze up in any big moments and wonder, what's wrong with me? Why am I such a bitch? Or do you just see red and think you can beat everyone just because you're mad? Well, we've got someone very important on the show. They're going to explain to you why you think that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your main event.
Live from HBF Stadium Festival Hall. Melbourne Pavilion. Not even backstage, we're literally outside.
Was that the best fight card in Australian MMA history?
Call me crazy, but make sure you call me when I'm right.
Be good if the Aussie MMA Instagram page would give us a bit of glow up because we're killing.
Welcome to the Australian MMA podcast, and today's guest is Briana Bowley. Now, she is the founder of the Bowley Blueprint. It dives into, and now I'm an idiot, the nervous system regulation. And she's a performance coach and nervous system regulation coach, Briana Bowley. She's got the sort of well-respected in the industry, the Bowley Blueprint, and she's got a certain love for combat sports, and she's helping fighters and all sorts of different athletes sort of dive into the sort of fight and flight and freeze responses. So if you're a kind of world beater in the cage and you're wondering why you're sort of freezing in the big moment, or maybe just in life, you're wondering why you either want to run or fight to the death, she's sort of dedicating her life to getting the best out of athletes in these moments. So if you want to find out more about it, like I said, no shit talking fighters today, just good old wholesome trying to make you a better person and a better performer. But if you want to find out how you can sort of get the better of that fight or flight or freeze situation, then keep on listening. Briana Bowley, the Bowley Blueprint. We're going to dive into it right now. But first, we want to thank our good friends at Combat Sports Insurance and our gym partner, Drillich Combat Academy, and of course, Vex MMA. They've got some pretty exciting stuff dropping really soon, which we're going to dive into and give you an opportunity to pick up some crazy prizes and all that sort of good stuff. But yeah, without further ado, it's the founder of the Bowley Blueprint. It's Briana Bowley.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. The founder, director, chairman, and all the other stuff of the Bowley Blueprint, Briana Bowley, mate. Welcome.
Thank you. Vice President? You forgot Vice President?
Yeah. No, I thought I would just sort of absolutely go ham with that because even as someone who has started their own company, I didn't know that they made you be a director when you started the company. Like, I thought you got to like pick your own job title. But apparently it's like the whole legalities. You have to be like a founder and director.
Who would have thought it, hey?
Well, I was like, I think I called myself, if you look at my email, I call myself head of business development, which apparently is a sales role when you really break it down.
Close.
Well, look, I want to read this correctly because I don't want anyone, because I'm an idiot and people will be misled by my idiocracy. See, I proved my point. Now, the Bowley Blueprint is a nervous system regulation and performance coach, as in that's what you are. What is that?
Yeah, cool. So it's a methodology that I created to, I guess, support coaches in, helping their clients regulate nervous systems, right? So the work that I do is supporting athletes, entrepreneurs, high performers in like holding their power, being cool, calm, collected in what they do. So, the Bowley Blueprint itself is basically sharing that with coaches, teaching other coaches how to utilize it.
Sounds like a scam. Love it. Now, we obviously reconnected at the PFL Australia launch, which was very, very random. But were you there for a particular reason? Like, is there something in obviously the combat sports realm, but is there something about just even the launch of the PFL that made you go, I really want to get involved there?
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I guess the main thing was that Chelsea Hackett's a friend of mine. She's an old training partner, so I wanted to get around her. But yeah, I guess also just having the PFL here in Australia is, I think it's just such a mammoth opportunity for combat sports to, enter kind of a new, more mainstream stage.
I'll believe it when I say it. Now, in terms of, you talked about the sort of training with Chelsea Hackett, everyone knows she's had a PFL career herself, had a nice little stint on the regional scene, also, Survivor. That's pretty important as well. But in terms of sort of your combat sports background, where does that all sort of start? Because this is going to all eventually tie in together in the next 10 minutes and everyone will go, oh, that makes sense why she's on.
Yeah, so I started with Muay Thai, more so from honestly, like a fitness perspective. I did the good old like box fit kind of vibe. And then I got connected with Jessica Rose Clark.
Yes.
Yeah, saw what she was up to with, this was pre-UFC days. And was like, fuck, I want to understand what she goes through more. Like I want to get it. So I started looking into Muay Thai as like I started my own kind of fight camp, started coaching Jessie with my work. And the two were kind of running parallel for a while. And then I realized both were pretty heavy workloads. So I had to choose one or the other. And obviously my coaching stuff won out, but kept up the Muay Thai just in the background, not wanting to do it competitively. And then, to be honest, I dislocated my pinky finger pretty heavily on my power hand.
Wow.
And I can't punch anymore. I can't punch with my left hand. So,
Really?
Yeah, so jiu-jitsu it was after that. And I've just become freaking obsessed. I don't have to deal with getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
So, I can kind of keep it up in the background heavily without having to worry about, concussions or broken joints or anything, anything too heavy.
Yeah, that's cool. You're like me. Your entire credentials is based off the people you know.
Pretty much.
Now, we actually go far back as well. Where did we meet? It was Mount Gambier, wasn't it, in country South Australia?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, way back in the day.
What were you doing there?
Oh, fuck, I'm trying to think. That was a while ago. To be honest, I think I was probably just on my way through to Melbourne and just thought I'd jump in and train at the Mount Gambier gym.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was that long ago.
Oh, mate, there was like 4 people there. It was good. But in talking about in the combat sports world, and in obviously that's kind of how you got involved there. Talk about the neurologist performance regulation optimization, or the smart stuff you do.
You nailed that, by the way.
Thank you. I have a uni degree in media, so I'm pretty smart.
No, so it's looking at the fight, flight, freeze response, basically. So our nervous system response to stress. So you look at a fighter, they're obviously, if they're getting punched in the face or someone's trying to choke them or rip their arm off, our body's going to instinctually respond in these different ways. So the work that I do is helping people to stay logical, stay present, so that they're not, it's not the whole, oh, I just see red, or they're not kind of like shutting down. And, you hear it all the time, especially from jiu-jitsu guys, where in the training room, like they're playing chess, and then they get in there and they've got the comp pressure, and all of a sudden, like, they're just brain dead. So it's being able to translate everything they've been working on into these, competitive situations when they're under pressure.
So is it more like a more niched down sports, what people would say is sports psychology?
Yeah, it's a little bit, in a nutshell, it's a little bit less mindset focused. It's a lot more looking at like your instinctual, your instinctual bodily responses. But there's definitely like a little bit of mindset filtered in there, sprinkled in there. So
the whole nature nurture debate of like, cool, calm under pressure, is that kind of, are you almost saying that's sort of like ingrained in who you are? To some degree. I mean, you can train it, you can repattern it. A lot of, combat sports athletes to some degree have already trained themselves to be calm under pressure. It's just, like some people have these little quirky things, which is super common, by the way, but these quirky things of like they can't fight in their hometown because having their partner there or their mum there or whatever, or having people they know there throws them off. So it's looking at those little like subtleties that most people would never even consider. Like, how do we keep you chilled even when your partner's watching? Or do they get built in? Because I'm just thinking, like, we all joked about it, but like a good friend of mine, Jack Jenkins, UFC fighter, has had, I think, 2 amazing performances in Perth, and he's had 2 injuries in Sydney. Is that something where, and I'm just kind of speaking out of turn here, but is that something where you could develop where he almost builds up fighting in Sydney is going to be like a negative response? And then does that affect the way you think?
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to dig into it. It's one of them things, right? Like, no, without getting too sciencey, no two nervous systems are the same. It's like your fingerprints, you know? So for some people, like, that situation might have them thrive. For others, it'll have them crumble. So it's just figuring out what's going on for the individual, and how do we repattern it so that you're thriving rather than kind of crumbling.
What's the motivation behind this? Like, did you get like in a situation like that where fight or flight became sort of important, and therefore you wanted to sort of find out why you acted a certain way?
Yeah, I think I've kind of fallen into it, to be honest. Like, I come from competitive bodybuilding originally, and obviously that's playing with real survival instinct stuff, you know, like you're tweaking your diet, you're getting ridiculously low on body fat, so your body's signaling that there's starvation going on. You're getting up on stage in, you know, some stripper heels and a tiny bikini, so there's survival mechanisms playing out there. So yeah, I mean, there was that was what initially got me interested. And then obviously when I found the combat sports, like it was just one thing after the next. And being, you know, I hate to say it, but being, you know, a woman in jiu-jitsu as well, like you're always the smallest one in the room generally, you know, and the physically, I guess, weakest. So there's elements of like, there's always some little like survival response kind of in the background there. So yeah, it's just been a series of different things that have all led me to this one kind of central topic.
I have that, but that's just to do with cardio. I'm like, oh no. No, it's interesting you say that, because it is like, doesn't matter how good you are as a woman in jiu-jitsu, you're going to get the angry 6'1", slightly overweight white belt that just got bashed by 5 other people, and he's going to be like, this is my round. And whether they win or not, you know that like you're going to cop like 100% of that effort.
Yeah, don't I know it?
Now, what's like a common misconception sort of some people have with this? Or kind of like, what have you sort of learnt where most fighters have gone, oh shit, I didn't know I could implement that?
I think probably the most common misconception is, I think a lot of, okay, here's a good one. A lot of athletes think that like that fight response is a good thing. You know, it would make sense that if you're going into a fight, you want your fight response on. What people don't realize though is if your fight response is on, your logic is out the window. Like it's like a bull to a rag kind of thing, a red rag. So you're wanting to actually train yourself out of your fight response so that you're chilled as a cucumber. You can hit go when you need to hit go. You can pull back when you need to pull back. You're not just running on this like adrenaline fueled, like, yeah, fight to the death kind of thing.
Is that the whole thing? Because I remember, this is such a vague memory, but in like 2010, when I was first a white belt, we had this random Brazilian dude come over and he taught us like breathing, and it was like certain reptilian, like, oh, if you're the crocodile, you are breathing like this, but if you're like the lion, you're breathing like this. And obviously, fast forward, you look at it and some of those terms are very like medical, but they would talk to us as if it was a guy that worked at the markets. But like the way that he explained it, I've heard it talked about quite a bit, which is, you never want to be on either side, do you? You don't want to be too flight and you don't want to be too fight, correct?
Yeah, correct. And then you got freeze as well, which is like shutdown. So you're wanting to be in the middle. Like ideally you're really calm. Like the truth is you get someone trying to punch you in the face, you're going to kick into gear immediately. You know, that's the instinctual part. So you want to keep everything up until that point. It's like you're as chilled as possible. And I think all too often fighters, you know, they're backstage, they got their angry music on, they're like pacing, they're hyping themselves up. Like you're already burnt out. You're already, you know, on an adrenaline peak, which follows with an adrenaline dump before you've even walked out there.
Well, I guess that's how they talk about, like, I think Mike Tyson does the whole thing, like when he's backstage, he says like, you know, he's like petrified, and as he gets close to the ring, he gets more and more scared. And then when he steps into the ring, he's like the man type thing. Is that what you want? Do you want to be nervous?
Depends on the person. A lot of it, like you want to think of this as it's conditioning, right? So a lot of it's based on our past experiences. So, like I'll give a prime example. I had a Muay Thai fighter I worked with years ago who he was used to being a little bit anxious in the lead up to fights, but it's what made it fun for him. Like without that anxiety, he didn't want to fight. There was no point. And so I remember, and this is my kind of my younger years in the industry. So I would have handled it differently now. But I remember we'd done all this work to get him really calm, and we're sitting backstage before the fight, and he looks me in the eye and he goes, "Bree, I'm not anxious at all. Like I'm not stressed at all, and that's making me stressed." Right? Because that feeling was missing. So he was like, "Shit, now I'm panicking." Mind you, he did phenomenally in the fight, but it's that whatever's normal for us becomes what feels comfortable and familiar. So we've kind of got to retrain what's familiar and what feels safe.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because Marwan Rahiki, who is the Hex and Beatdown featherweight champion, probably going to be in the UFC, signed to Contender Series, he's going to be an absolute star. He has said that there's been times where he's, like not nervous at all. And exactly what you said, it almost has like scared him because he's like, I'm not worried at all. Is there, and I feel like I already know your answer, but is there any like set where you go, this is how you want to feel? Or is it solely up to the individual and then their best result?
Yeah, I would say the best way you can be, if we're looking purely objectively, we're looking at how like you're recovering, how you're breathing, how your heart and your organs are kind of processing and doing their job. Ideally, you want to be as calm as possible. However, it's your head that's going to fuck with you, right? And so that's when it's the like, what are you making it mean? If you're too calm, oh shit, that's scary. I don't like that. So that's where the head kind of gets in the way. Yeah.
So you're not like, I feel like it can be misconstrued as like you work on confidence, but you don't. You work on the layer below that, correct? Or like the layer underneath that, correct?
Yeah, it's both. On the surface, like, yes, absolutely, it is confidence, but it's both. And your confidence is going to be based on your state. Your confidence is going to be based on, are you feeling shut down? Are you like numbed out, disassociated, or are you feeling really powerful and anchored and certain?
What's the sort of stuff you do with fighters? Are there certain exercises like say for example, I've come in and I want a session because I keep getting knocked out in the first round. It could be just because of skill, but let's pretend it's not. Now, how do you go about it? Like, do we do an assessment? What do you ask me? Sort of what's the plan forward?
Yeah, depends on what level someone's working with me at. But to give you kind of a generalized viewpoint, normally we kind of map out your unique system. So we're going to look at like, what are the things that trigger you into freeze? What are the things that trigger you into fight? What are the things that trigger you into flight? And not just in terms of like in the fight itself, but everything, because everything touches everything, right? So we're looking at, in terms of like weight cut, we're looking in terms of at your day job with your partner, like what are the patterns that are playing out across the board, and how does that have you react? So, a lot of people, if we zoom out a little bit, a lot of people fuck up their weight cut when they go into a freeze response because they're looking to kind of avoid. And so, these patterns are playing out and sabotaging across the board. So we're looking for the patterns so that we have an understanding, and then we start to build out a toolkit. And there's experiment. It's ultimately experimentation, right? We've got to figure out what works for you individually so that you can go, okay, I'm in fight response right now. I can draw an XYZ, and this can be breathing. This can be like self-talk. This can be, removing yourself from situations. It's very much case by case. Sorry to be vague.
Nah, it's a lot of this stuff kind of is like that in a weird way. Like you often will go see people like yourself or whatever, GP or doctor, and they're like, everyone's different. You just got to find out what works for you. And it's like, unfortunately, that kind of is true. But that's like anything with workouts, with diets. Like there is no kind of like cookie cutter sort of thing. Have you had anyone that was really struggling and has kind of like really turned it around?
Yeah. I've had One woman comes to mind. Well, actually, yeah, there's been two situations, both female athletes, where they've been right on the cusp of like completely giving up their career because of not even things necessarily to do with fighting directly. It's things that have happened in the media or, things that have happened in their personal lives that have then just scared the shit out of them. And now they're too afraid of kind of the media backlash from it.
Media.
Yeah, right. God, jerks. And they're too afraid to do anything in case it reflects badly on them. And so they're freezing. They're just consistently freezing. And so in both cases, and this one I can share publicly because she shared about it herself, but one was Jessica Rose Clark, and she went on to, have this big turnaround, get into the UFC. She had a run in the UFC, and so, yeah, it's, those tweaks, like they can move mountains.
That's crazy. And it's all just kind of like you said, not visualization, but like experimentation. So it's really just kind of like talking, like there's nothing people need to take. There's no drugs. There's no, or there is, or there isn't, or what's the sort of...
I mean, we can, like, if we want to really go down the rabbit hole, we can look at like your gut brain, which is how your gut is, like your nervous system is processing the info it's getting from your gut. So if you're eating, shit for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, like you're probably going to be in some sort of a survival mechanism. You're going to be in a stress response because you're not getting adequate fuel. Well, I do sometimes look at like postural stuff. Especially with a lot of athletes who've got like quirky little old injuries where they're, this shoulder sits a little bit up here because they tore their pec off years ago, or quirky little things like that. They're all signaling to your system that something's wrong and that you're not safe. So in very rare circumstances, I will actually start to get people to look at posture and things like that. But most of the time it's more so looking at like the environmental kind of, whatever the stimulus is that they're facing, whether it's the fight, whether it's the weight cut, whether it's the, the media or whatever it may be,
So what is your, if any, qualifications?
To be honest, all self-led, self-educated.
Oh, you're one of them.
Oh yeah, one of them.
Is there like, do you get any, and that's kind of was a lead up into my next question, like, because all of this shit, whether you're a movement coach, whether you're a breathwork coach, whatever you are, there's always going to be people that are a bit like, oh, yeah. And it's like, do you cop any of that? And then how do you sort of work your way around it?
I definitely did when I was younger, like I'm almost 33 now. I started this 14 years ago. So I was like, I was like late teens kind of thing when I started it. And so, of course, not only was I battling with the, you're young, what the fuck would you know? But yeah, I used to cop it all the time of like, oh, so you went to uni? Nah, like, and just the questioning of like, what would you know? You've never fought in the cage. You've never, fought in the ring. I think now though, like the results that I've created for enough people speak for themselves. So it's been a long time since I've been questioned on it.
I'm questioning you now. No, what did you kind of do? Because in a weird way, you would have fight or flight response to if someone ever questioned you. So what were you like? What was your issues?
My issues, as in like
did you fight the response? Did you try and run away and avoid it? Like how did you go about that? And then did you then have to start working on yourself?
Mine was definitely fight when I was younger, and I think that's common. Like when we're young and we're trying to like climb this career ladder, like it was all fight. It was the whole like, fuck you, I'm going to prove myself. As I got a bit older, I think it became a little bit more freeze. Like it was a little bit more, like I just, do I want to put up with this shit anymore? Do I still want to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah. As for how I dealt with it, I mean, it's so case by case. I think, or like honestly, in the most recent years, and I did have that kind of period of really freezing, I actually removed myself from the industry for a couple of years because I needed time to figure out like, is this actually what I want to do? And like thankfully, I came back even more certain than ever before that it's what I wanted to do. But yeah, certainly for a while there, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. There's fight, flight, freeze, and breeze, which is when someone's like, "Oi, you an idiot! You shouldn't be talking about this." I'm like, "Yeah, it's probably right. I am pretty dumb." And then they're like, I can't really say anything now. And I'm like, "Well, I kind of agree with you. I don't know how I got here." But no, is there anyone that you look at in the UFC fighting out there that you go, I'd love to work with them? And I know this sounds kind of weird because it sounds like you have to be critical of like their performances. But is there anyone out there where you go, man, if I could get my hands on them, I reckon I could really help?
Ooh. You know what? And this is not present day, but Conor McGregor back in the day. Oh, I would have loved to work with him. Even now, actually, I know he's not actively fighting, but that dude's got some stuff going on, and I think he could be. I mean, he's a beast. He's a beast in his own right. But if you got him grounded, like.
Well, he was known though, wasn't he, as always being like, I mean, Rogan talks about it where he looks so calm in the Aldo fight and all that sort of stuff. Do you look at that and go, oh, that's the GOAT level of being in the zone?
I think Connor's is an interesting one, and I'd have to really pick into his brain, I think. But he's when you look at his upbringing, like he's, he grew up poor, so it's the same thing. He would have had that fight to prove himself, and so. While he did look really calm, I think there was an undercurrent of it's kind of that thing of like the calm waters, but underneath it's choppy. And so I think Connor was probably really good at putting on a persona of being calm, but underneath there was a storm, And so yeah, it makes sense based on his upbringing that yeah, he's used to calm. He's used to chaos. He'd be the one who kind of thrives in that chaos.
And is fight and flight something that like once we sort of retrain it or whatever and you end up going, okay, I'm in this calm situation now, is that where you want to be until the day you die, or does it kind of have a shelf life in the sense of maybe 3 or 4 years in your prime you want to sit in that situation, but then if the fight and flight comes back in fighting, do you reassess it? Is it time to retire? Like, is there a process in it, or do you just always want to be breezy and cruisy in every aspect of your life?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I love that question. For starters, I think sometimes people demonize fight, flight, freeze, like it's this thing we have to get rid of. It's there to keep you safe. Like it's an instinctual response for a reason, because if you don't have those reactions in certain situations, you're gonna die. Like if you
a guy with a gun. Oh, cool.
yeah, exactly. Like if you don't run from the lion, if you don't have that flight response, like you're gonna get eaten. So they're not bad responses. They just become bad when they're controlling us in situations that aren't life or death. And so I think, like, if we look at it purely from a combat sports athlete perspective, you want to. It's almost like climbing a ladder, right? Like you master the challenges that trigger you into a survival mechanism at the current rung you're playing at, and the pressure mounts, and so you have reactions to that. It's the same thing as like as you're climbing up to become the champ, like the pressure that someone faces as they're climbing the ladder is different to the pressures that they face staying at the top of the ladder. And so I just see them as, each time a fight, flight or freeze response pops up, it's just another opportunity to get better at your craft. It's like jiu-jitsu. You never master it. You just keep adding new tools and new levels, and you go from a blue belt to a purple belt to and so on.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'm glad everyone is here for my free therapy session. But what I've noticed is like when I was 20 and 23, it was like angry and like you wanted to fight everyone, and when you were scared, you wanted to fight. Where now I'm a little bit more like almost like, oh, I don't really feel like going to sparring. I'm a little bit nervous about it. I might just not go, and then I'm fine with it. Is that like, do you have to adjust as you get older with that stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like I describe it as it's a it's a lifelong experiment and it's consistently evolving. So the things that drive you it's the same deal as, you see these like 19-year-old kids come in for their first MMA class and they're like hungry, they're like I want to punch on. And then you see, the 45-year-old hobbyist jiu-jitsu guy who's like, nah, And so like what drives us at different ages and stages of our lives, it changes. So we've got to change the way we manage these responses like as we go,
Interesting. So it is one of those things where, you book a session with you and then they're stuck in there forever because you can never complete it.
Exactly. Like you said, it's a scam.
It's not all of them. Like Kairos are like, I'll see you every week for the next ever. And you're like, yep, cool. No, it is. It's interesting, and it is something that I think you have to figure out yourself and figure out what works for yourself. Like we talked about, like I even did basketball for 10 years, and I don't think I enjoyed a single second of it because like I just wanted to be the man, and if I wasn't the man, and that whole thing of like when you reach your goals, you're not even happy. You're just like, okay, I can not cry. And that's how many guys are like that with MMA. They become like a regional champion and they're like, yeah, and I was supposed to.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like I think, fuck, like people are putting their bodies on their line. They're putting their health on the line. Like at least enjoy it, like climb the ranks, be the champ, be the world champion, whatever, like collect the belt, but actually fucking enjoy it. Don't be in like this stress response the entire time.
Yeah. It's interesting. Now, if anyone wants to get involved and wants to learn more about you, where can they go?
If they just search my name on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, I think I'm on YouTube as well. Otherwise, the Bowley Blueprint, you'll find me on Instagram. I'm out there.
Nice. I feel like you're starting this little girls club too. Like, it feels like a little power squad.
A little bit.
Did you see is it Chelsea Hackett and Beck Rawlings doing a little podcast together?
Yes. Yeah, I'm thrilled for them.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I like it. Before you go, women's MMA, women's combat sport. What's your thoughts? How's it going?
Oh, to be honest, I shouldn't admit this, but I haven't really been watching it that often.
Oh,
I've been a little checked out. In my defense, it's not just the women, it's the guys as well. I don't know who's who at the moment.
Nah, it's fine. Ask me about like the UFC. I couldn't tell you. But ask me about the 32nd ranked amateur in New South Wales, and I'm like, aha, Greg Stevens, buddy, he's amazing. Yeah. So
yeah, that's me.
It's the game. I get it. Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time. Obviously, I could talk to you for hours, but it will just end up being you doing free work for me, and we'll just be breaking down my entire life. But look, I hope everyone sort of enjoyed a bit of that because it's that inside look into, you can't always lift heavier weights to get better. Sometimes you got to try different approaches, and this might be one of them. So thank you so much for taking the time, and I hope everyone checks out the Bowley Blueprint, and we'll chat next time.
Appreciate it.
See you, legend. Thank you.
See ya.